Could you use a quick tip daily? How about a tip that can impact your day? My name is Raphael. Join me as I bring you tips by experts around the world. These experts have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me and will directly share them with you. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and comment, and I would love for you to become part of the New Tip Daily community. Dr. Clint, thank you so much for joining me on New Tip Daily. I really appreciate you being here. I know you have some amazing tips that are going to be timeless. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sifu, for having me. Today's tips, I want to talk about goals, setting goals, right? We're getting ready for 2023, right around the corner. It's a time, of renewal, refreshment. People are excited about the upcoming year. And what a great way to start. And one of the things that I wanted to bring to people today was to talk about goals and the importance of goals. And one of the key ways you can be effective in setting a goal and accomplishing that goal. But to begin with, I wanted to share with you a little information about goal setting. And a lot of people don't know this, but only 3% of the population actually sets goals. That's quite astonishing. If you think about it, some people, that I've talked to about that have said, that couldn't possibly be right. But multiple sources cite that as only 3%. And if you think about it, a lot of people, they would begin to tell me about maybe they've got goals for their kids or other places. But individual goals, only 3% of the population have that. And there's a saying that I like to share kind of in that vein is that many people work hard on their job, but they don't work hard on their future. So let me say that again. Many people work hard on their job, but they don't work hard on their future. And so it's important to begin to have that forward-looking lens in our lives. A lot of times we forget it. And one of the key ways is to set goals. And so today, if you're out there and if you even have a goal, you're ahead of 97% of the population if you have something. But here's the tip that hopefully we can have a discussion around and share. It's this. I'm going to kind of mold it. If you have a goal, I want to encourage you today to write it / verbalize your goal. And here's why. Okay, number one, if you have a goal, you're ahead of the population. Second, if you write it down or / verbalize it, that means tell someone, tell a loved one, tell a friend that you are 42% more likely to accomplish that goal. So once again, 42% more likely to accomplish that goal. And so if you think about it, it's amazing what you can accomplish by simply writing it down or verbalizing. And a lot of people ask, why is that important? Okay, number one, if you write it down, okay, you're going to see that. It's going to be in your head. And then when you come to that point in the day, you're going to be more likely to execute on that goal. Secondly, if you verbalize it to someone, that gives you accountability. So the next time you might see somebody at a party, you might see them, at the working out, they might say, hey, I remember you told me, you were looking to do X, Y, or Z. How's that going? And so internally, there's a motivation to begin to take action on those goals. And so if you can do those two things heading into 2023, you're ahead of the game. Get a goal, you're ahead of the game, and then write down / verbalize that goal to somebody. You're setting yourself up for success.
Absolutely. When I love the fact of writing it down. And then the other aspect is verbalizing it. sometimes, you may think it, right? You may say, oh, I want to do this. And it's all thoughts in your head. But you're right. When it comes out your mouth,
Mm-hmm.
it triggers something, doesn't it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes out your mouth, it triggers it. When it goes into someone else's ears, it lets them know your intentions. So are you living with intentions, right? I
Mm-hmm.
love that aspect. And the fact that it jumped to 42% the minute you verbalize it. And you're right. People are gonna go, hey, I thought you were gonna lose 10 pounds. It looks like you gained 10
Mm-hmm.
pounds. So
Yeah.
when we think of that definitely is helpful because now the accountability is huge.
Yeah. And it's interesting and just, preparing for our discussion today, right? I write down goals, but I wanted to rewrite some of them down. And
Mm.
as I was, just kind of thinking, I like to compartmentalize. Here's another thing is, when you have your goals or the things that you want to do, put a year next to them. So, I challenge, people that I coach, put 1, 3, 5, or 10 years. So you write all these things down, and then is that a goal that you want to do in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or is that a big 10-year goal that you want to do?
Mhm.
But getting back, as I was kind of thinking, some things that were kind of inside me, some goals that maybe I had forgotten about, resurfaced as I was writing down the other goals. I had some big ones, and I was like, you know what? I had that thing that I wanted to do that's kind of got lost in the in the day-to-day things that we talk about, working on our work. And I began to write that down, and then immediately I started getting some ideas. I started getting excited about it and started thinking, hey, what if I do this? And if I call this person? And so if you think about it, when you write those down, you're going to start thinking in a different way. You're going to start thinking of, how can I make connections? What's the next action step that I can take? Who can I maybe bring in on this goal to help me with it, right? It might be some positive reinforcement. It might be just holding the mirror up to you. It might be somebody that just has some resources alongside of that goal. And so whenever you're able to do that, don't underestimate the power. A lot of people go, oh, what's it going to do? Just simply write it down, or just because I tell you. You begin to internalize it. It begins to become more embedded in you, and it begins to become part of your life, and you begin to take some action on them.
Love it. When you think about, and you said write them down, but can you, and you said 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, you know, a Japanese business company or a businessman, they write 100-year goals. A
Amazing.
100. So
There
when
you
you
go.
think about it, what do you need? You need a calendar,
Uh,
right? And when you start writing in your calendar and you have all the different things, look, I have things highlighted because
mm-hmm,
those are things I need to accomplish on those particular days.
mm-hmm,
So also have a timeline, right?
mm-hmm,
But here's the thing, a lot of people go, they stress, I'm not going to make it.
mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yep.
Rewrite it, right? Get a new piece of paper. Sometimes scratch it off, use whiteout or use a pencil. But yeah, writing down your goals, but also putting a timeline will help you. And I like the fact that you talked about the 1 year, 3 year. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually write your goals for tomorrow, today.
Mm-hmm,
Some people don't use a calendar. Obviously, I use a calendar every day
mm-hmm,
that I myself, to make sure I'm on track, I go back to my calendar. I don't just write it. I study my calendar. Does this make sense for today? Or maybe I can put it off because it's not as important as this other thing. So maybe I got to switch it, move it over from a Tuesday to maybe a Thursday or next week or
mm,
even maybe next month. So one of the things that I do, and you talked about planning, and I love that because 2023, it's got 12 months, 365 days.
mm,
Make everyone count, right?
mm. That's great, great wisdom. Yeah. And, I love the fact that you have it in your calendar. That's a great way to make things happen. And the other thing you mentioned, I think is powerful as well, is the having some flexibility in those goals, right? Right. We see it with clients, with people, they get, don't accomplish something on their calendar that day, or, and they get frustrated and they want to
Right.
quit. And so the ability to allow yourself some flexibility in that, right? If, okay, I have this goal, maybe I didn't take an action step on it. I had it in here for Tuesday, but maybe I can do that Thursday or Friday or next week. But, being kind to yourself and allowing yourself some flexibility in that helps as well. And, another thing that I think is very powerful for those that struggle, because it is, like a muscle, right? Taking, working on these goals, writing things down, is simply making sure you do one step towards that goal, right? Sometimes we think, oh, I gotta, sit down. Let's say you're writing a book. I gotta sit down for 8 hours and crank out and write. If you have a goal, if I encourage my clients, and if you struggle with this, some people struggle, just do 15 minutes towards that goal. If you can do it, just to begin to train that muscle, right? If it's working out, if you can just walk for 15 minutes, if you can get on the treadmill, right? If you're writing a book, if you can just write for 15 minutes, just beginning to get a little momentum will help you, right, cognitively, and will give you that win, and will increase motivation, and can help you accomplish those goals. I think is a huge thing.
Absolutely is. We talk about putting it on the schedule, but maybe even having action plans. And you talked about sometimes you and I have had some great conversations. And one of the things that for me is a takeaway is that we can't sometimes accomplish certain things alone, right? So sometimes you may have a plan, but you need your team, you need your spouse, you need your kids, you need your partner. Sometimes it's a business planning, right? For 2023 should be an amazing year. I always tell my clients and my members that don't let your mistakes define who you are, because you
Powerful.
learn from them, right? You learn from every mistake, but they shouldn't define you. You define you, right? By your actions you take every day. So yesterday, I planned what I'm going to be doing today. Believe it or not, I even planned what I'm eating. So I know exactly how my day's going. Now, don't get me wrong, right? The other day, I got a knock on my door. I got very lucky because on my block, they are doing some work on on the electrical. They're doing it down the whole block. So they were moving a transformer. I get a knock on my door. Thank God I didn't have any shows going on.
Yeah.
And the guy says to me, in about half hour, we're shutting the lights on the whole block. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
thank God I don't have anything. And then I said, uh-oh, in 3 hours, I'm supposed to be eating, but I can't put on my stove. I can't do these things. So I may have to adjust. Also, there's going to be no lights in my house.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? Check this out. I have these little lights that you could just go
Yeah.
on, so I
Yeah.
I
Right.
can have
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
light, right?
I got
That's
one too.
just,
Yep.
but I have a
That's
ton of those, right? So it's battery powered, or things that you never know when your plans can go sideways. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to cook at home. What restaurant or where do I want to go and get some food? Because I am going to eat, right? I gotta fuel this body of mine, right? This machine that I like to call. So planning sometimes goes sideways, but
Yeah.
incorporating other people to help you with that planning is incredible. One of the things that I do, and I'm doing it next week, is I'm sitting with my staff and we're planning all the events that we're doing for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So some events are, you know, they have leeway. Other events are set in stone. They have to happen at these times, and that's it. But having that leeway, having the team having input so that I can't just say, this is what we're doing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work when you have people who are you working with or who work for you, because all of a sudden we want to have this big event and somebody goes, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to tell you it's my dad's having surgery, or
Right. Yeah.
I have a vacation plan, I forgot, I didn't put in the request yet. And so we
Mm-hmm.
go, okay, let's visit that. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to take vacation at that point? Because then we have to move it, and
Yeah.
we have to adjust, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge. Is another key component to for your success and hitting goals is having people around you and bringing
Mhm.
them in on it. They're going to pick you up on times where it's you're having difficulty. They're going to remind you of the positive things that can happen uh, for this goal that you have, and they're going to point out blind spots as well, right? If you have
Mhm.
somebody that speaks into your life and might even share, hey, maybe there's a remember this goal, maybe there's a better way to use your time towards accomplishing that goal. And so a key factor, bringing people in. And let me encourage you, as you know, Sifu, bring in positive people that will help you towards that. You need people in your corner. We were talking about this before. I'm part, right? You're starting. You have some networking groups that you have to help people, encourage them, keep them
Mhm.
motivated, keep them challenging themselves. I'm part of a group as well, where people are challenging me and keeping that blade sharp and keeping us moving forward on our goals. And so, if you can do that, if you have them in your home, use them. If you
Mhm.
need to go outside, external, and find those groups, right? You've started a few of them. Find those because they're invaluable. And if you need a coach, get a coach. They are
Right.
invaluable in helping you accomplish your goal. And one other thing I just remembered too, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, is write down the goals that you have already accomplished. And even if you're not a goal person, if you go back and write some of the things that you've accomplished, or goals that you've set and that you have done, you will be amazed at the things that you have accomplished. And that will help drive your motivation as well. Because trust me, listeners, you have forgotten what you have done. You have forgotten the things that you have accomplished. You have forgotten your victories, and you need to go back periodically and revisit those and go, oh my gosh, wow, I did
Mhm.
open up, right, a 10,000 square foot facility. Oh, wow, you know what? I did take a class here. Oh my gosh, I did want to read a book and I read a book, whatever it is. Uh,
Mhm.
and you will be surprised at that. And that will just be another springboard for you as you head into these new goals.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, don't only celebrate the big wins, celebrate the little ones. Listen, every day I wake up in gratitude. The fact that I woke up is a great win, right? The fact that I can even get out of bed. Look at how many people struggle to get out of bed. Some people can't even get out of bed, they're in a hospital bed. So every little thing in life is a
Mm,
win. And live in
mm,
gratitude. You will be so, you have no idea how blessed you are. Listen,
mm,
even a homeless person who can
mm,
walk has
mhm.
something to be grateful for. They can walk. Maybe
Oof.
they need a home. Maybe we can also reach out. Maybe we can put part of that goals for 2023 is, who can I help?
Ooh,
So
good one.
someone recently said to me, "Oh,
Mm,
you don't need to hire that person because they don't need that." And I said, "You know what? I can do it myself, but I'm going to hire them
yep.
because it's going to give them a chance to shine. And
Mhm,
yes, it's going to cost me money, but
mhm,
guess what? in the long run, that
Mhm.
money is going to come back to me. Yes,
Mm.
I'm going to pay them a certain amount of money to do this service for me. And I can do it myself. It's a no-brainer for me. But why am I hiring them? Because they're young in it. And
Mm.
even though I'm hiring them, I'm probably going to do the work for them, but I'm
Yeah.
going to coach them on
Yeah.
how to do the work. So later on, when they are getting paid well for it, they also will be able to deliver so much more for me. So for
Mm.
me, it's an investment in them. Right now, I can do it myself, but
Mhm.
sometimes, why? Invest in someone. They will give you back more than you ever gave them.
Yeah. What a great idea for our listeners heading into the new year, right? You
Mm,
cannot go wrong with that type of mentality of giving, being generous with your time, resources, or wisdom, because that is going to come back, and that is right a goal that will last forever. That person will be transformed by your kindness, your investment in them, right?
mhm.
You're helping them to grow in their skill sets. And I believe in faith that they're going to remember that, and they're going to pass that down as well and say, hey, you know what? There's this gentleman that invested in me, gave me a chance, allowed me to grow. And because of that, I want to pass that on down to you. And um, a gentle reminder that there's something bigger to what we're trying to accomplish, and
Yeah,
that's helping out
yeah.
other people.
One last thing I want to say about that is that I would never say to this person, I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah,
I would never. I'm just saying for anybody listening, I
yeah,
want them to understand that when you do something for someone else, do it because of the kindness of your heart, right?
yeah.
Do it because you want to help them for
Mm,
real, not
mm-hmm,
because it's self-serving,
mm,
right? Listen,
mm-hmm.
if I hired them to do this and they turned around and they did it, and then later on they go, hey, I'm going to go work somewhere else. I'm not going to throw it back in their face and say, well, I hired you. No, it's just, you know what? Thank you for your service. That's it. Right.
Yeah, what a great nugget, and what a great way to live life, and that's invaluable. If somebody picks that up and exercises that muscle in their life, uh, they will be doing well for themselves, and I think that's a fantastic goal for all of
Hmm.
us as we
Right.
head into this new year.
So set your goals, right?
Set those goals, right? Write them down. Put how many, when you want to get that done, 1, 3, 5, 10 years, and tell
Hmm.
someone as well. You're going to hit them. It's going to be exciting. You're going to be motivated. And you know what's probably going to happen, Sifu? This might happen where you're like, why didn't I make them bigger? I was able to do that. I could have done so much more. But you will. Yeah. So write them down, verbalize them, and watch yourself take off.
Yeah. One last thing, and I've read this 1,000 times, is don't set small goals. Set
Mm,
small goals for the bigger ones. And sometimes set your goals so they're ridiculous.
mm.
Listen, I said this to somebody on a show, and I said to them, if you're going to rob a bank, do you want to rob
That's a good
and
one.
only take a hundred
That's good.
thousand dollars, or do you want to take 100 million?
That's a
And I
great.
said, don't set your goals small, set
That's
them
great.
big, but you have to have small goals to go along and shoot up for the big one, right?
That's great wisdom. That's funny you mentioned, because I always see like people when they rob banks, and I hear on the news, and they're like took $5,000 or $10,000. I'm like, what was that? Why was that worth it?
Yeah, not worth it.
What does that do? But yeah, you're right. Set them big. I have clients that will call, and they'll be going over their goals, and to me, right, they are huge, and like
Mm,
I'm like, how is this going to happen? But right, I'm with you. You're right. It's like, hey, this is what's in this person. Let's
mhm.
help them get there. Right? How exciting that they're doing it. And so yeah, push yourself. Don't underestimate what you can do or who's going to come around you in the future. You don't know, and set them high. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not recommending anybody rob a bank or any 7-Elevens or anything.
Great
Stay out of
disclaimer.
jail with your goals.
Amen. Another good goal. Stay out of jail in
That's a good goal.
2023.
Right. And listen, whatever goals you do set, make sure that you think long term. Think of living a long and beautiful life. Set your goals up for success.
Yeah. Right. Think big. I even think generationally. I'll just share one of my goals is, so I have 5 kids. They're 17 to 24, but one of my goals is, and so none of them are married yet, but one of my goals is, as you know, I used to play professional basketball in Europe. One of my goals is to train my grandkid how to play basketball and how to play at the professional level should he be
Nice.
wired for it. So that's one of my long-term goals, is to be able to physically train him and play basketball with him. Even though
Nice.
my kids aren't married, there are no grandkids. So you
Yeah.
want to think generationally as well.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Dr. Clint, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate these amazing tips. And I know we spent a lot of time and because I think they're so important. And thank you for spending this amount of time sharing your wisdom and these amazing tips.
Thank you. Always love our conversations. Appreciate it.
Thank you.